Well, I was very excited to see what Isaiah Simmons was going to do for the Arizona Cardinals. I was very much looking forward to it. And honestly, so far it's been kind of a mess. He's looked not great, to say the least, which is interesting because it seemed like it was great value getting him at the number 8 overall pick. And listen, there's plenty of reasons for it. Plenty of potential. Maybe they're just excuses. Maybe they are actual reasons. We'll get into all of it. First, let's just talk about what he's doing poorly. We'll start off with this play. It's man coverage. You have a tight end who's going to be running a route. This is George Kittle running a route where he's going to just quickly get to the outside. It's nothing too fancy right here. And what you're going to notice him do is he's going to use his size to his advantage, which makes sense. Isaiah Simmons, he's not the biggest guy for a linebacker. He is 6'4", but he's only 230 pounds. So, he's a skinny guy for a linebacker. That weight at 6'4" is definitely on the skinny side. And so watch what Kittle is going to do. He's going to just get his right arm, try to get onto Simmons' left side of his body, and push him away. And he's going to do this before 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, which isn't a penalty. And watch how he's able to get Simmons just completely off balance right here to the point that Simmons is going to try to get back into this play. There's just enough separation right now. This is not a good situation, and it's going to be an easy completion because of that throw in that direction. To make matters worse, Simmons had trouble actually getting a handle and making the tackle. He ended up getting his hand in the horse collar area, which is a penalty. And just a all-around not great play from Simmons. This next one is an even worse one. It's man coverage. You have a halfback running a route that has a move in it, fakes still going to the outside, then cuts to the inside. And what you're going to notice from Simmons is that he is not expecting there to be a halfback that's doing anything other than just run to the flat. Watch how dramatically he's going to move in. He is ready to get in position to take away a flat route, and now all of a sudden that's not what's happening. And he's just out of position right here, which is not a very good situation. And also you can just tell this is how quick the NFL game moves. It moves a lot faster than the college game. And so this makes for an easy completion, and Simmons is just completely burned on this play. It ends up resulting in a touchdown, which is, that's a terrible situation. That's not really something you can deal with for the Cardinals. The Cardinals are trying to make the playoffs, and whether it's just rookie mistakes or not, as of right now, Isaiah Simmons isn't playing like a good football player. Personally, to me, I think these are rookie mistakes. I think that they are. And I think that I would also say that no preseason has really hurt Simmons, maybe more so than any other rookie I've seen, quite frankly. He's making a ton of rookie mistakes, and he could have used some snaps to really get into the thick of things. And so it's tough to learn on the fly. Like, you can just tell the route running of the NFL is just something he's not used to. On this one, it's, again, going to be man coverage. And this is going to be a route that has a couple of moves in it. And so, sort of fakes to go into the outside, then cut back to the inside. And as you see, watch how Simmons is just going to be lost this whole time. Look at how far out of position he ends up getting on this play. He has no clue where the route's going to end up. This one actually doesn't get thrown in that direction. But if it was, it would have been another easy completion. And it's when Simmons is out there, quite frankly, he's giving up easy completions constantly. His numbers, he's only been out there for 35 snaps, which is about the equivalent of half a game. And his numbers are atrocious in these 3 games. He's given up 2 touchdowns, had no interceptions. In fact, he's had no pass breakups. He's only been out there for 14 coverage snaps, and he's been targeted on 4 of them, which is 28% of those snaps, and he's given up completions all 4 times for a total of 94 yards, which is 23.5 yards per time he's been targeted, which is obviously not very good. In fact, he's given up a perfect passer rating against, which is even more crazy to think about considering the fact that he's a linebacker. Again, a lot of that comes with that one 77-yard touchdown. Like, that's a huge part of it. But the numbers have been abysmal. They just have. There's no getting around it. And there's some plays, too, where he just doesn't look comfortable out there. And this is why I kind of say I think it's more rookie mistakes than I think it's him being untalented. But there's just certain plays where it's like, even on some that aren't necessarily his fault, they just look very clunky. Like, this is a good example where it's going to be man coverage, and this is a pick play. And in fact, the player who Simmons is covering is just the guy setting the pick. So Simmons is, if you look at the top of the screen, there's 3 receivers, 3 defensive players. Simmons is the one in the middle. So the halfback that Simmons is covering, he's just going to run out and kind of try to get into the way of the Arizona player who's in charge of covering the receiver who's closest, the receiver in the slot, who then runs to the outside, and he can potentially get open. It's a simple concept, but it's an effective one. And what's really going to be interesting here is that once this play starts, watch Simmons. And watch how Simmons, he's doing what he kind of should do, right? He's covering up the halfback, but now he's basically turned into an additional pick for the Arizona player to try to get through. And it's hard to really blame Simmons for this. I mean, he's just trying to cover his guy, what you're supposed to do. But it's just little plays like this, and Stafford's easily able to make the completion. So it's like, I don't blame Simmons for that. And I think you could probably argue that 22 was the real player who wasn't doing his job properly. He made the biggest mistake. I think that's fair to say. And you could argue, hey, maybe they should switch. But again, it's just a little bit clunky. This one's another one where there's going to be a few things to break down right here. First, the white arrow pointing down. That's just pointing to Simmons. He's behind the receiver. That's where he is. He's going to be rushing the passer. And so there's actually a twist as well. This is going to be a blitz, but if you look over a little bit to the left, there's a twist where those two Arizona players, you're going to have a linebacker crash in. He's going to basically try to pull the guard to the right side of the screen. That's his hope, is if he can get the guard to move over to the right, then you simply just swing around an edge defender. He gets straight through. That's the hope. And you also have Simmons running around on the edge. But what's interesting here is that 19, the receiver for Detroit, he's going to actually just be blocking that edge rusher. This is just kind of an interesting situation, an interesting wrinkle to this. But because he's going to do that, this should mean that Simmons has a straight shot to the quarterback, which you would think on paper this is a very good situation. But what's going to be interesting here is that you're going to have another Arizona player, the linebacker. He's going to get pushed into Simmons a little bit. Watch how he gets pushed to the right. That bumps into Simmons, and Simmons is not able to get around and really make any pressure on Stafford. And again, that's not really his fault, right? I mean, you can't blame him for it. I mean, you could say he probably should have ran a little bit further to the outside, but that's an extreme nitpick in my opinion. But it's just little things like that. It seems like even when it's not his fault, it just looks clunky out there. And maybe that's his fault. Maybe it's just he's gotten unlucky. I'll let you be the judge in that. But that's another thing I noticed and I wanted to bring up. I think it's really fair to say at this point that Isaiah Simmons has not played well. He's not been a good player, and he hasn't gotten many snaps, and there's a reason for it. It's because he's not playing well. I mean, the reality is Arizona, they can't afford to play Isaiah Simmons right now. Until he gets better, he has to be a depth player because he's not playing good football. And it's really disappointing because, I was really looking forward to seeing him play, quite frankly, and it's been a disappointment early on, and I hope it's just rookie mistakes. It looks like it is. You never know, but it looks like it is. So I'm not going to panic just yet. And honestly, maybe you could try to sit here and argue that, well, maybe he should just be playing safety instead of linebacker. But honestly, with Simmons, I kind of feel like his biggest problem right now is coverage. So I'm not really sure if that's going to help him too much. I mean, and listen, part of the reason why he's not getting playing time is because Hicks and Campbell have both been playing very good. But I don't know. It's frustrating to watch. And for Arizona, they're like, listen, we got to make the playoffs. We can't be developing a young player right now. We just got to put the best players on the field. This is the NFL. We can't afford to let these guys have time to figure it out. That's what the preseason is supposed to be for. And so I think that unless Arizona loses like 5 straight, we might not see much of him at all this year. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully he can turn it around. Maybe just him being in practice will help a lot. It's disappointing. At the end of the day, the Cardinals have not been disappointing. They've been very fun to watch. But it's not the end of the world because they still have had good linebacking play. But it is disappointing to see what's been a very hyped up prospect sort of stumble out of the gate. But plenty of time to improve. A lot of guys have had 3 bad games and turn out to have Hall of Fame careers. We'll see if he's one of them. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.